doesn't it? How do people find where we're at? How do people get into where we're at? So just while that's come up, please subscribe and tell people that we do this Arts Alive thing every Friday, and we talk about what's been going on in the studio, what's going on in my thoughts about being an artist in Britain today and the art I make. I was quite sad actually this week. I think it's midwinter and there's not enough sunlight and it's tough. There's not a lot of money about. And then yesterday I went and did a painting in a gym. I paint the walls of gyms, mostly with bodybuilders and other things that enrich or they're aspirational, aren't they? Pictures of great bodybuilders while you're there going. But for me, it had exactly that effect yesterday. I painted this picture of Arnold Schwarzenegger, and in the picture was the words, "Don't give up, never give up." And when I started, I was like, oh, I've got to go out and do this. And I didn't want to put overalls on, so I put an apron on. And then I got there and I painted it, and it was really tough. It was getting away from me a bit, this painting. I got the body right. I couldn't quite get the expression on his face. But I kept on working at it, and I might do a little bit more tomorrow or Sunday, because they're very good to me at this gym. But coming away from it, I was so happy. I was just, every part of the midwinter depression had gone because I'd done something I really enjoyed, and I'd got the feedback. And the men who work in the gym, we stayed until the end. It was about 10:30, and I worked for 2 or 3 hours, and they were just like, they love all the paintings I've done. So that was good as well. It's always good to be around people who like you. So what was happening really there? I was doing something live in front of people and painting it. So they were there while I was painting. Maybe I should take you guys along one day when I'm painting in a gym or something like that. They play loud music and it's quite fun. It's just down here in Batley. I think that I'm doing myself a disservice if we don't have a conversation about logos. I think a lot of my conversations are a bit esoteric, and I talk about art theory, and I say art is thought in evolution. And I also say there's no such thing as low art or high art. There's just art. We just make it. If we're making cakes or anything else, I say that every week, don't I? I also say, why do people buy art? Why do we buy something? It's because it makes us feel good. And if making it makes you feel good, then if you're consuming it as it's on your wall or you're going to see it. I remember traveling the length and breadth of Barcelona to go and see a piece by Miss Van once, and it was well worth it. I mean, just wandering around Barcelona is well worth it, but it was well worth it because it was like a piece that was difficult to find, an art piece. So I go around looking for pieces of artwork, and they make me happy, but I'm also really there about how are we helping people to look for our artwork, to recognize our work. If you think of some great logos that there are in the world that really, like Motown Records, that M on the record label. So it's like a label. I mean, there's a logo and there's a brand, which is all the things you do around it. So the logo helps you. It's like the doorway into the world of that thing. So there are coffee shops with logos, and there are cafes and brands of, you know what I'm talking about. I don't need to say it. People wear brands across them, don't they? Or there's a way in which your brand and your logo are something about you. I spoke to a man today, a friend of mine, new friend, and he said that he was looking for a way to promote himself where he didn't have to pretend to be someone else. He didn't want to be on TikTok dancing, or he didn't want to be talking about other things. He was quite deep, and he started talking about Jungian psychological theory and archetypes and all this. It was a bit above my head, but I know enough to know that Jung Carl Jung, said, if you believe something to be true, then it is true. So he's talking about you making paradigms, making ways of thinking. And Tracy Emin said that about artwork. I'm sure she said it in one of those lectures on the BBC or something. It might have been a TED talk, but I think it was that. Anyway, she said that the artwork only needs to have logic that applies to itself. It only needs to follow through, so that if you're always doing monsters that fly, the idea that monsters fly is part of your artwork. So if you're suddenly in a situation where they can't fly, you're like, well, that's different from the paradigm, from the world you're creating. And art creates a certain world. And things have logics within themselves. So everything Damien Hirst makes has a logic within itself. It might not have the same logic as the rest of us, but it has a logic. Everything that other more surreal, Dali, has, his artwork lives in a world where the logic is surreal. Other people may have a more practical, or they might use cloth in some way, so they have a pattern, and the idea of repeating pattern is a logic. But that's more the brand, like what the thing does. I'm really talking about what small symbol describes you, what small symbol describes me. And I'm going to work on this, so you can watch me struggle with that idea, and hopefully you can come up with something yourself. I mean, they can adapt over time and they can get bigger and better and all that sort of thing, but it's a basic. It's a basic that drives people to your website or drives people to your artwork. It's a symbol of quality. It says, Trafford Parsons made this, and Trafford Parsons cares about this. My set's falling apart. I don't think maybe that is part of my brand. I think I'm very messy. And someone else said to me recently, embrace the mess, Trafford, because out of the mess comes all the ideas, all the artwork. And I'm very, very lucky that I'm surrounded by people who support what I do. And that's another thing that we need to do, attract people to us who understand us. And I think a logo does that, because it's beyond an essay about you or a bio or anything else. It says something about you, that you've decided to give yourself a small logo or a big logo or some kind of logo that helps people get there. They know it's you immediately. So let's work on that together. I'll work on my thing. Post things if you want on my comments about you and your logos and your struggle with logos, or talk to me. Come in and talk to me at the studio. Can I say more about the way in which I think it's important, and it's something that I hadn't really thought about before, and the joy of doing these pieces to camera every week is that it forces me to think about, to articulate, to reflect on what it is I'm doing this week and what it is that's going through my head, and share it, really. Because for me, art is about sharing ideas, sharing thoughts. And so that's why I started this. I started this a while ago now. I can't remember what number we're on, maybe 20. I've done 20 of these. So I'm new to it, and it's like a testing time where I'm testing different ideas and can I do it? And I find it really difficult getting my phone out and just talking. But I don't find it that difficult. I'd rather do this than write things down, because I'm very dyslexic, and I'd rather do this than dance. In that I can dance, and I used to get up every day and train and dance until I was about 42. I trained every day, and then I taught dance. I taught for 9 years at Manchester University. I taught contemporary dance. And so I sort of feel as though I've put my time in with dancing. And I went out to nightclubs, we all know. And I was on the telly dancing and in videos, and doing all those sort of things. But there's a way in which making artwork where I'm not necessarily front and center, the artwork is. I've been doing this artwork for 25 years. I've only just felt comfortable with getting back into the limelight as a person. I was hiding behind the work, or I felt that the work should be more important. So many weird thoughts, maybe not so weird, but so many thoughts about that, which I will share and we can talk about in other weeks. So let's think about logos this week, and by next week let me have a working logo to show you. And if you've got one that you're working on, that's cool as well. Let's have a look at those and let's talk about those. I hesitate to say that I'm running a class in what to do to be an artist, but maybe I'm running a workshop or a seminar group or something like that. Maybe think of the fact that we're all doing this together, and that if we as artists get our act together and are able to communicate better than other things, we're actually not competing with other artists. We're competing with football and TV and waiting for the bus. I don't know, all the things that people do in their day. And we need to grab people's attention and say, art is the thing. Art is the best. And